the last day of part one for the Heroes Global Championship here in North America and in Europe. Gillian Dredd here, as always, to bring you all the North American action. But before we switch gears and switch regions completely, we gotta have one last shout out to our friend Calaris. Calaris, thank you so much for all you've done to kick off HGC to the amazing start it has had. You will be missed.
Yeah, you're a dear friend, and you know, you and the WWE have somehow suplexed their way into all of our hearts, and we just want to say thank you for everything. Your time, you know, nobody else could really replace you, so thank you very much.
But never fear, Heroes fans. We have a lot of more heroes to distract you, starting with us here over in North America. So let's check in with the standings, where you can see that, again, we have our top three teams in North America. Tempo Storm, Team 8, and Gale Force Esports. These three teams, the seeding is not exact, but they will be the ones representing North America at the Western Clash March 3rd through 5th. Meanwhile, Superstars and Team Freedom, they're going to be vying today for a solid spot in the standings heading into part 2.
Yeah, it's really just, you know, looking towards the future, making sure that their team still has a secure spot here in HGC North America because, you know, looking towards part 2, suddenly we are going to possibly lose some of the teams that we have here. Exactly.
It's really important that those standings are secure. When we look at today, the last day of part 1 for North America, the schedule goes as following. After HGC Korea, we kicked things off with 2 3-0s in Europe, just further solidifying the top 4 teams in Europe. And congratulations to Team Expert for being one of those teams. Maybe they'll be able to vie for some of the clashes and things later on. We're going to be closing things out with Team Freedom versus Team 8, the Battle of Ragnaros, if you will. But first, former teammates Faye and Koth and Luck will face off in Tempo Storm versus Superstars. Brett, I asked you yesterday, do you think Superstars have what it takes to pull that upset over Tempo Storm?
Yeah, and again, it's just a little bit of, yes, Superstars has had positive, you know, changes in a really solid direction that they look like they're heading. I just feel like it's a little bit too late, really, to make those adjustments. But hopefully, you know, they can at least put up a solid fight here or even get the underdog upset.
Well, before we get into that match, let's hear from the players themselves for this matchup, Tempo Storm versus Superstars.
I feel like Tempo Storm has always been pretty strong as a team, especially since their last performances within Gold Club and BlizzCon, if I'm correct. The issue with Tempo Storm, though, is that they aren't good in synergizing in standard team fights. They're very good at making objective team fights and always taking the advantage, but they've never been like solid. I would compare them towards the Ballistics against like MVP Black. MVP Black is usually really good at team fighting, but Ballistics is always good at objective fighting.
Going up against Superstars is always a bit of an enigma. That team on paper and in scrims, they should be strong, and they are at times strong, but time and time again they've underperformed to an extreme degree on the big stage, and nobody, probably including them, is quite sure why the team has had so much difficulty since it's been formed. Because the core of that team is a team that you would expect to have good results and has had good results in the past. So whatever they need to do to figure out how to transfer their strength from theory and from practice to actual events, if they can get that going, they can be a top 4, top 5 team easily.
Tempo Storm has always been a consistent team in draft and strategy and gameplay, and we're not looking to straight up outplay them, but maybe kind of throw an oddball into the mix.
I'd say Superstars is they're a very meta-dependent team. If the meta does favor them, they can draft comps that they play really well, which does make it hard to beat them on certain maps because they have a very weird play style where they don't really do things you expect a lot of the time, so you have to be really careful, but as long as you have a game plan set up, then it should be fine.
Well, Tempo Storm's for sure the #1 team NA. They've proven that. They're the most hyped up team right now, just picked up a great sponsorship, and I would like nothing more to beat them.
Tempo Storm is the #1 team in North America, but they did struggle versus Gale Force Esports last week, falling 0-3 to them in an unprecedented, really, upset that we were not expecting at all. And when it came down to it, it felt like the adaptation for Tempo Storm was the big issue, that they could not figure out those comps. Is that something that Superstars maybe takes advantage of here?
It's something they could do, for sure. Again, with the creativity, I mean, every time we see teams talking about Superstars, it's very much the, they can pull out wild and crazy strategies. They've been yet to do that here in HGC North America, but if they were to, yes, it would, kind of pry on the weakness of Tempo Storm and their adjustments in the middle of a game. They have the game plan. If it doesn't work out, suddenly things get a lot harder for Tempo Storm.
When we look at this matchup, two players that stand out are two that I mentioned before have been previous teammates, Faye and Cothenluck. These two played on a team together, multiple teams together, for over a year before Cothenluck did switch and move over to the current team that he's on today. But Faye is still there with that core of Faye, Iacona, and Srey that have been playing for a long time as well.
Yeah, Faye there, the biggest standout when looking at the statistics obviously has to be the fact that she's sitting there with only 2.2% of the game dead there, one of the lowest, I think the lowest that we have out of NA and even EU. And that in itself is a pretty heavy tail there, showing that the KDA is going to be above average, sitting at that above average mark, but then also making sure that she's not going to be dying. That's actually very rare, when sitting at those mid-tier teams. Again, it's like comparing to Tempo Storm. They're winning, so the stats are going to generally be a little bit higher, so it's impressive there for Faye.
And when you look at these previous teammates, as we have here, these two have so much history versus each other. Of course, they want to be able to beat each other, but even just the knowledge that they have into their play styles is something that both teams get an advantage in.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting how it's kind of, playing into the minds of what you know of your opponents. We even saw that a little bit yesterday with B-Step McIntyre talking, what he knew about Naventic as a group overall. Right. And so we might see a little bit of that here. Granted that there's been a pretty significant time gap, enough to where maybe it won't come into play, not so much when it comes to strategies overall. So it is strange. Usually when it comes to heavy comforts is when that strategy specifically really works out, because you know what they're looking to do with those specific heroes. Like I think Cawthon's fall set would be a prime example.
Right.
You know when he's going for the soak, you know where he's going to go. Even when it comes to just hiding and not showing himself, you know where that position is going to be, and that's where we might see Superstars thrive.
Well, it also depends on the battleground, especially for Superstars, where they can thrive. And Tempo Storm a little bit too. We're going to check out the battleground pool for HGC. Superstars have banned Cursed Hollow and Tempo Storm banned Infernal Shrines, which means, again, Battlefield of Eternity is an option later on for Superstars to pick. But we're going to start on Towers of Doom, a Superstars pick. Both of these teams have shown to have a lot of comfort in this battleground.
Yeah, and it's one that opens to the cheese, and we say that every single time in Superstars fails to bring it out. Right. So I guess I don't think that that's going to be the trend that we see coming out from them. Just a little bit more of, they feel like it's one of their comfortable maps. The depressing part, at least when looking from Superstars, is fact it is Tempo Storms as well, and generally that's going to mean the, underdog is really going to be able to struggle. But maybe they have something figured out. Heavy priority onto the, sappers on the bottom half might be something to be able to make up for, because we know Tempo so much likes that, and again the false set.
Even Tempo, it's been a while, but they ran the Dine and Dash back in the day, putting Psalm on Medivh, and then Fury was gorging people left and right. I think that was maybe versus Naventic at PAX that we saw that, but it has been a long time, but you never know, it could make a comeback.
Yeah, it's a little bit, like fashion. The meta always will loop back at some point in time. You get a little bit, Jaina's, kind of coming up now. Nazebo is going to be another one, granted. Yeah. Garg is an alternative flavor maybe for him, but either way, we are ready to be able to get into the draft here on Towers of Doom. Again, Globals is going to be something to focus on. One thing for Superstars I really want to see, though, is I want Goku on Dahaka. It's one of his better heroes. It complements the map overall. I really feel like it would be a good power play here for Superstars to be able to get that.
Tempo Storm are banning Medivh straight off, so saying we are not even going to let you entertain the notion of getting Medivh stitches, but Superstars have to ban Tassadar, so feeling that second ban is absolutely necessary to ban Tassadar here. Zeratul is the first pick for Tempo.
No surprise, Tempo Storm here with such high priority onto Zeratul on any of the large maps. Psalm is going to be the player there, and he has had an outstanding performance onto it so far. But the response is going to be Goku there on the Dahaka, and then Tychus here on the side of Superstars. So the Tychus pick there over the Falstad, it seems a little bit not playing into the map that much, but they did make up for that Dahaka, so maybe a thought process there overall. But I like the fact that I love the Dahaka. I really think that was a huge moment for Superstars in this draft. But if Tempo gets this Falstad, The
Should
Falstad
be.
Zeratul duo and a complementing map, the raw control that it provides, it is going to be really difficult here for Superstars, even with, Goku on such a powerful hero.
The other hero on Towers of Doom that Tempo Storm have liked pairing with Zeratul has been Ragnaros, but in the case of having Falstad up, I don't see why they don't take it here.
Yeah.
So it's likely they're trying to figure out, do we get Malfurion in this rotation? Is there something else that we want instead? As you can see, Tempo Storm is potent with Zeratul. They finally did have one loss with the hero versus Gale Force Esports, but up to that point, Psalm was a monster and still remains a monster on Zeratul.
Yeah, and there it is. It's going to be the Li Ming and the Falstad pickup there, so a little bit of a pairing. The Zeratul Li Ming that we've seen so much, and then we're going to have that Falstad there for the global. The value that he has here onto the map is absolutely ridiculous. So a well-rounded draft, but Tempo, I guess not so well-rounded. They solely focusing there onto the DPS. Not saying that that is a misplay, but it very much is something I would like to see Superstars punish. They're going to start with the Diablo. Interesting trend, considering that all of yesterday, for the most part, Zeratul, nobody was worried. It's too much about the Zeratul and the Diablo together, and suddenly it's going to be coming back here in day number 2 of week 5.
Now I'm wondering what the warrior will be. Looks like ETC is the choice, so another possibility for a global if Superstars want that function. As well with Dahaka, and then Malfurion as support.
Yeah, it's going to be a very standard draft so far here from Superstars. A little bit of a beef front line. Tempo Storm hasn't made too many fluctuations either. What are they going to be looking for them when it comes to the front line? With Diablo, Dahaka, ETC off the table, Murden is a thing, but he's so rare in North America. Tyrael doesn't work well into this composition. Doesn't hurt. Tyrael's great almost every time, but not necessarily any overselling points towards that. So what is going to be? Are we going to see the Johanna? Or is it going to be something else? It's going to be Johanna. Interesting choice here for Tempo. And now moving on to the support, we are going to see June there onto the Rhaegar.
Last pick for Superstars. We're looking at probably some sort of other backline for either Hosty or Faye, and it's going to be Tracer. Wow.
Wow, the Tracer. Tracer is a really interesting beast. She is probably one of the, I think it's above the 15 mark, the highest win rate hero out of in the entire world when looking at, not even considering the map, just all the drafts that we have here at HGC, considering Korea as well. But more than anything, just this draft specifically, the Falstad is so powerful on this map overall. It's hard to say no to, because it not only does Falstad provide the global when it comes to Towers of Doom, but more than anything, the Sapper pressure with Gust is honestly one of the biggest, most terrifying things that can happen, because not only does it's not even that it happens that often, but you see that posturing and the amount of resources is committed to the other team is usually way out trading that of the Gust, even if the Sappers don't move in. And I feel like that's such an underestimated power kind of play. Even the boss control on top of it, just Falstad, I think is a very underwhelming thing. And I think Superstars is really going to experience that into this game. Even though they have the Dahaka, it just, again, feels more of like trying to stop the bleeding over a bigger wound here.
Yeah, but the team that has Dahaka on Towers of Doom tends to have the better positioning over the top lane in general, because he can solo those Sapper camps so much. So maybe if Superstars focuses their energy early on, even with the Tracer, sometimes you'll see teams push with Tracer just to apply a lot of pressure up to the top lane, then maybe that's the point that they can control that instead. There's not the 2 camps, but it's at least a counterpoint that they can go for.
I agree, as long as they stop one of the power play. Tempo is going to look towards that double Sapper on bottom. They are going to all day. So with the very squishy backline that they picked into, I think it's going to be a heavy focus to see Tracer, make sure she capitalizes there, and worst case, at least go even, and then the Dahaka thrive on top. But if that doesn't happen, I really feel like it's going to be the exact story that we see most of the time the Tempo Storm ends up in this map. Full control over the bot lane until, the game, just final shots move into the core.
Well, Tempo Storm really needs a win in this series to make sure that they maintain good seeding for the Western Clash. We're heading into game number 1 versus Superstars on Towers of Doom.
So here on the blue side, in fact, is the underdogs here, Superstars. Iacona is going to be on the Malfurion. ETC will be played by Stray. Faye is going to be on to the Tracer. Goku, as always, on the Dahaka, a.k.a. Freaky Dinosaur Man. And Hosty will there be on the Titus.
And their opponent's Tempo Storm in the red. June, the support player, playing Rhaegar. Fury on one of his stables, Johanna. Cothenluck playing Falstad. Psalm, as always, a treat, playing Zeratul. And finally, Caterpillar will be the one playing Li Ming.
And one thing to look at when just comes to drafts and stats and things as well, looking at these 2 drafts specifically, the 2 most picked heroes with above 10 games played, and the highest win rates is going to be Falstad sitting at 10 games with a 70% win rate, and then Zeratul sitting at 12 with a almost 60% win rate. And so statistically here, this draft is going to be heavily in favor of Tempo Storm, but the early game, in fact, is not going to be seeing that Falstad there getting picked off. Great job from Sray with the power slide priming the team there.
By a little bit of time, but it is a very, very early kill. Now Iakona's closing it down. Iakona's 4-3 on Malfury in this season, 100% kill participation. That's a difficult one. Just in general, Iacona for a long time was the only player both in North America and Europe who had a 100% kill participation. Finally falling, I think, after week 3, but still holding it that long was very impressive.
Yeah, it's, you know, he holds that about as long as he does his talents. Am I right?
Oh,
got him!
Oh,
Ooh, baby, we're starting it off early today. Let's go. No, seriously, though, it's very impressive to have that 100% kill participation. For me, honestly, looking at the stats through most of last year and through what we have this year, I've never seen a player be able to hold that long, and the fact he still has it there on the mouth is good. But for now, Malf, you see, he's trying to force the lane back to his side, stall the minions before they get shot by the turrets to get a bad positioning, so Trace can get the flank. But Tempo Storm seems to sniff it out there as Sray is going to not hit the power slide.
Psalm's already in position to start the sappers right away here in the bottom lane, making sure they can get these even before the first altar phase, putting some pressure on, knowing that Superstars might not be able to defend versus them. They're going to move over for the invade too, as Posty and the rest of Superstars are in the bottom. Can they hold versus Tempo Storm? Because this is where the pressure starts, if not. This
is exactly what we were talking about. Now we got to see, Fury is going to move in there on the Johanna by himself. Goku comes with the flank, gets the drag there, on to Psalm. Psalm goes down. Now Cawthon joined the fight. A very deep flight there. He's going to have to barrel up. Can Goku confirm? Doesn't look like that's good. Oh, he does, in fact, get it. That is a 2-for-0 trade. Superstars doing exactly what we were talking about, stopping that bottom lane control on the side of Tempo Storm here. And now, look at that. We're going to see a lead here when it comes to the shots.
Incredibly impressive performance from Superstars at the beginning. We cannot harp on this enough, how important it was for them to respond to that right from the get-go, because Superstars do not want to get behind in that bottom rotation for Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm are trying to just get their one altar because Superstars got both of the other two.
And so, just for a moment here, I'm not going to say that I expect Superstars to have the same performance of Gale Force, but I do want to note that we do see the same trend of what Superstars is doing so far in this game, looking at the overly repetitive patterns of Tempo Storm. They have the game plan, they run with it. If you disrupt it, we saw that it very quickly could crumble. That being said, I do think GFE is the better team more than Superstars, so it won't be nearly as convincing. But it just, even the fact that finally teams are looking to do that is such a huge thing here at HGC North America. I feel like if this trend continues, it's only going to put fear into the fans and the players of Tempo Storm.
Well, what we see is Tempo Storm talked about it over at the Global Championships that they went to, is they felt like they just didn't have anybody to really punish them the way that the Korean teams did and the Chinese teams did. Granted, that's not anywhere near what they got right here in North America, but it is a start to that, and a very important start to see our scene grow.
Yeah, and I don't know if we touch up on this, but we do see the Regent Master there on Johanna at level 1. It's not uncommon, but it's not overly popular either. Just a little interesting. The bigger they are is going to be the choice there for Tychus. So as long as Jojo doesn't get the blind onto him, that's going to be a quick 40% HP there. Cawthon sniffed out the Sapper, not going to be able to get it, but the invade flank here. Psalm goes in. Tracer should be able to make it out.
Jumps back onto Faye, misses his Singularity Spike though. Faye's going to chase back in. June is there for the heal. No kills for either team, but importantly, Sappers again were nabbed by Superstars. The bottom ones are available on Superstars' side. Do they make a rotation fast enough, though, to once again... Looks like they've scared off Tempo Storm enough for now, especially because Tempo doesn't have 7.
And that's going to be the first step of seeing, you know, Tempo kind of making these adjustments, realizing that Superstars is going to, you know, punish what we know so heavily here from them. But for now, it looks like the teams are a little bit more comfortable. Oh man, you saw that. That's a perfect example. It's only a small sample because he only got a few shots, but how quickly Tychus there, with the bigger they are into the solo warrior, can chunk, getting like 4 auto attacks, and suddenly Johanna there experienced that 75% HP. Sappers are now going to be started. Shrine spawning onto the bottom half, but the teams are going to be even, at least when it comes to talent.
Well, 7 still waiting. There it is. Cleanse picked up for either side. Constriction is an interesting one that I see for Dahaka. It will increase the duration of drag just slightly, allowing the team to have just a little bit more extra follow-up to get the kill. Fury starting to go in. Channel from Falstad and Zeratul in the mid. Dahaka has not come down yet, so Superstars willing to give up a little bit for now in order to get the better soaking, knowing that they're ahead in experience. Still channeling, but nobody able to grab either side yet. Dahaka sneakily burrowed down to the bottom. Li Ming is in position, though, to stall this out.
Yeah, Li Ming's going to be just fine there with Cattle. Faye's going to start the channel. Good interrupt coming out from Zeratul, though. Good damage as well onto Sray. It looks like Faye's going to be able to get the channel. No, the flashlight there from Fury is going to say, not today. Dahaka, though, still in the 1v1 with Li Ming. Big shots captured here by Superstars. Another channel. Will they be able to pick up on bottom? That's going to be the delay.
There just wasn't a lot of good stopping and stalling power. Pulse bomb down. Som gets chunked about half health. Oh, that did not connect. That is unfortunate for Tempo Storm. They will lose both of these altars. Yeah, they had Li Ming in the bottom trying to buy time. Li Ming was the one versus Dahaka, but the rest of the members, once you had Shield Glare down, there just wasn't a whole lot of options for Tempo Storm.
A very bold power slide there. There's going to be captured the Sappers for Tempo. And this looks like it's going to be a trade where they back out there. Good heads-up play. Looking to, again, stop. Ooh, Goku. I don't know if he's going to make it out. Li Ming's got a combo up in a second. He's going to be fine. But again, at least that pressure to those bottom camps on the side of Tempo Storm for Superstars. Very well done from them. Not gaining too much, but the fact that they have these early shots, this looks like a new Superstars. There's going to be the flight.
Gray's not getting out of here. Jump in from June and Som. So an ETC kill just in the nick of time for Tempo Storm. They have some Sappers pushing here in the bottom lane, but importantly, Superstars were starting to get ahead and experience more heroic abilities. So that buys time for Tempo Storm to catch back up. Do you think we're going to see Mosh Pit here from Sray?
I really hope so. It's Sray, and so I feel like it's going to be a stage dive, but I want the Mosh Pit, not only just because the Dahaka provides the global that's going to be necessary. I don't think that it really does too much to be able to have two of those.
Yeah, it's not like Tempo Storm has three on the other side.
But I can see the deterrent of saying, I'm not going to get value out of Mosh just purely because Johanna between Iron Skin and Condemn, it's such an easy interrupt tool for the most part.
And Wave of Force, and Gust.
And they've got a lot of tools on the opposite side, but I still think I find that a little bit more appealing, really, to go that direction into the Mosh Pit. But for now, he is going only to hover it. All the other heroics here are going to be selected. What we'd expect. Li Ming probably holding on to hers until she sees what ETC pulls out. Oh, man, but the skirmish up here. Psalm's in a tough spot. Still got teleport, missing the bomb. It's actually the third bomb that I think Psalm's missed that's been relatively easy. Definitely not, traditional Zeratul that we see out of him.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit haphazard. I'm not sure what quite the word would be, but maybe just still warming up to it as the first game of this series and the first game for Tempo Storm of the weekend competitively. We've got altars activating in 8 seconds. Still holding on to the ETC heroic ability.
We did see Disintegrate, though, so that's going to remove an interrupt. That being said, there are still a ridiculous amount onto the side, but both teams are going to get their respective channel for now. Tempo is looking to get the interrupt. They, in fact, are going to be able to make that happen here. Superstars may be a little greedy with the rotation there between Tychus, Tracer, and to the Malfurians, but
he's going to stay up in the top, though, making sure that he can gust if a Mosh Pit does.
There's a Condemn. Odin is used here. Posty is ready to start this fight. Sray goes in. He's still yet to choose a heroic. Pulse Ball missing, though. But at least the channel is going to be for Superstars here, so good job getting 12 health. Will Kettle be able to make it out? Forcing the Ancestral.
Here comes Sray. He dives into the back line. Void Prison from the back from Som, trying to go after Goku. Mosh Pit on one. It is going to be Rhaegar, though, so no heals for the rest of Tempo Storm. Fury in trouble. He goes down. 1 kill in the fight from Superstars.
Shout out to Iacona. Beautiful cleanse there to stop the Condemn from getting the interrupt. Granted, maybe not the biggest play in the world, but even that subtle kind of micro play in the end really can set Superstar ahead of their opponents. And talking about that, we in fact are looking at exactly that case, because now the boss is going to be captured here by Superstars. No contest on the side of Tempo. And we're just looking at a double core HP at this point. Just calculated play out of Superstars.
And this all started because Superstars did not let Tempo Storm run with the plan that they have been doing, the advertised plan. And we questioned if Tempo Storm could make those adaptations, because it has been an issue for them in the past. Now that teams are starting to force them to make those adaptations, Tempo Storm is down a lot, half health of the core, like you said, but it is Towers of Doom at least, so it's not over till it's over. Once they start to get caught up, they get these power spikes for them too. We just need to make sure they don't get too behind at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it is Tempo Storm, so I'll leave it at the idea that anything can happen. But typically when we do see this disparity when it comes to the shots is an experience gap. And that is actually the exact opposite here, where Goku, beautiful burrow on out. It's the exact opposite. They even have the experience advantage. But we're going to see the power slide attempt 3 versus 2. Good Blessed Shield combo. Will they be able to get the Tychus? Hosty goes down. That's one reset. Now it looks like Sray is going to lie victim there. So very aggressive rotation on the side of Superstars, good punish coming up from Tempo and beautiful timing considering the objective's going to be up. Luckily, Superstars does have about a 7-second spawn time in favor of the spawn time of the altar, so they'll be okay as long as they get a delay or two with Malfurion.
We do have Balloon's Grace to help out with that. Tempo Storm in a good position, but Zeratul is the one who is up in the top lane, so he's gonna have to make the slower rotation. And Dahaka is here. Faye too, if she had to, could maybe go in, stall, and then burn her recall, but doesn't want to do that necessarily so that she can still make sure to be ready for the team fight. She's gonna dive tape in. She did it. She did it. She stopped it. Faye gets back out safe, but that is a long cooldown now.
Now it's up to Iacona. Goku's not going to make it in time. Can he get it? He gets it. The drag was used. Cawthon gets the pulse bomb as well, forcing the gust. Nobody's going to get the channel for now. Superstars here. Odin here. Look at Hosi there with the flank Gilly. This is going to be a tough spot for Tempo.
It is. Ancestral Healing's available if they need to. Don't necessarily want to have to use it on Cawthon luck though. They're still chasing back in. Fury goes in. Disintegrate to stall.
That was a double stagger of the delays there. They didn't want to use Disintegrate and Fury moving into melee range, forcing the blessed shield, and that, in fact, is going to be another channel going over to Superstars. Not even using their heroics there. The lack of commitment, though, on the side of Tempo, the fact Void's not used, like all these skirmishes, you can see Tempo, they aren't used to not being in this position. They really, again, questioning what do we do when we get here? How do we come back? Which is almost ironic considering the fact.
Oh, Som.
Oh, there's going to be a big Void.
Faye. She's down. How do they do after this now too? Caterpillar can start with the resets. June and Cawthon in the back. Moshpit is still up, so they need to make sure they're spreading out as much as they can. Cawthon with the chase. Iacona, the next takedown for Tempo Storm.
He's going to be going down, but this is a 4-man chase. Good attempt there from Cattle, not going to be able to connect. So a 2-for-0 trade. The Void coming out here and turning the tides now. Can they get the bottom 4? Iron Skin already used. It's going to be cleared out too. Moshpit's still up. Keep that in mind. Tracer's pulse bomb's going to be up soon. There's going to be the drag right on the Cattle. It's going to be a pick already here. Tempo down a man, but they are not able to get the fort as well as Tracer and Malfurion just going to spawn up here. Superstars still holding their ground, even with that panicked moment. This is the huge changes that we saw from Superstars that we're complimenting. They never could do things like this before. It was like, oh, we're down a man. Let's just let them win. Let them get whatever they can during this time. Hopefully we can figure something out later as they lose the game. Just over in the long run.
And huge props to Goku for that too. Spotting the drag, being able to get that constriction again coming into play, just a little bit longer of the drag, making sure that they commit to the kill once the drag goes down. And we've been wanting to see it. We've said we want to see Goku start making those plays because we knew it was possible, and especially with Dahaka.
And what I was talking about a bit before that that I was talking almost feels a bit ironic, and is the fact that Superstars is making the changes that we've had complaints for so long. And now that people are shutting down Tempo, they seem to suffer from the same problem. Yep. The lack of adjustment when things are getting ugly, which is, it's just, I don't know, it's so amazing to see this transition in era. But again, Tempo Storm is a very skilled and veteran team here. They have the opportunity to make the comeback. There's going to be a delay. Goku into the 1v1. Psalm as well. Rotation for Tempo Storm is going to be much early. Goku might have to pop his heroic just to be able to survive because Superstar is very late in this rotation.
Nobody's here to stop June. Odin went down, but he's still a little bit out of position in time. The channel is continuing to going out, and June just, in fact, simply will take the altar. Tempo Storm running away. Srey trying to make the fight happen.
Oh man, that was a beautiful Blessed Shield. Kata went in for the kill. Goku now is in a very tough spot. No heroic. He burns the burrow and ends up getting the adaptation heal right there. That's a 3-man Void, and we saw what happened last time, though.
We did. Can they make the same thing? Cattle gets the 1 reset, gets a kill onto Haka. Out of the adaptation, Srey's the next baby to fall. Condemn into Disintegrate. The chase goes down. Gus not even needed there to make sure they got the kill. Maybe trying to get the rest of the kills too, but slightly misses the rest of the members through the gate. Still, Hosty will go down. 3 kills for Tempo Storm. And badly needed at that.
Yeah, and this is where we see Tempo Storm do what they do best. It's going to be the Boa Constrictor strategy. Just manipulate the map so much, the bell towers and such, that your opponents never really have, the position that they want to have here into this game. And I really need to see, I feel like Superstars needs Iacona. He has to ult. He has still yet to ult. They have 2 ults that they really want to use in an optimal situation, but because neither Mosh Pit nor Twilight Dream is being used, the counter momentum and initiation to these fights is legitimately non-existent. And it's either got to be Mosh, which is very easily interruptible, or it can be Twilight. Granted, can be interrupted, a lot harder to make that happen. So I want to see Iacona. I understand the thought process, but it hits a point when you look at your comp, and we've seen these last 2 fights without it, it's not possible. So Iacona needs to be a little bit more aggressive here in this positioning.
Yeah, it can be very scary with those long heroic timers too for Superstars, but at least Superstars did do the top lane, the focus on top lane. Oh, Srey might be in trouble here. Nice condemn.
Oh man, the route's gonna be a little bit too late too, with Stray going down. The flight coming out from Kotham, post bomb's gonna land. Gust was used here as well. Sappers trying to get cleared out by Superstars. Goku taking a lot of damage, but he gets the drag. Can they get the kill? No, Ancestral is gonna be used. Twilight Dream just a fraction too late. And Tempo here once again pulling ahead, getting the bottom bell tower. And they're gonna have shots to boot here, as it's gonna be 4-4 in the bell tower.
So yeah, the top lane, at least for Superstars, does stall out Tempo Storm a little bit from being able to just run away with this game. Somebody will have to go back to deal with that, probably, unless they just want to full-on push in the mid instead and say, we'll get that whenever we have some time, but let's use this fan advantage that we have right now in this level lead. Oh, we have a little bit of time. Ooh, even going after the boss. They do have Void Prison. Gust will be up in 16 seconds.
It should be fine purely off they see the two on the bottom,
yeah.
right? With and it's not like either one of those are going to be global. So Temple Storm here will be able to pick up these shots, setting it to Superstar still doubling the core HP. Bell Tower is going to be converted, setting it back to 4-4. So we're sitting at close to an even game, minus the level advantage in favor of Tempo. And so that's something we got to be looking at, because now that has converted, this race to 20 is going to be on, and I expect Tempo Storm to very much be able to capitalize on top of that. Instant force with the Void post once 20 is going to be achieved. But Superstar is going to try and get the invade once again, looking towards the Sapper game on bot.
Stray's on the point. Odin goes down.
Gust.
Void Prison once again. These Void Prisons have been massive for Psalm. ETC blows up. Goku now has to get on the point. That Gust is fantastic from Kotham Luck, though he does take harassment with the pulse bomb. Stays alive. Malfurion goes down. So does Hosty. 3 kills for nothing for Tempo.
Goku, the Lone Ranger there, will manage to get in the back, though. Not necessarily in friendly territory, but he will be all right. And so this is going to be that 3-man trade. That's a bell tower going to be converted here for Tempo, leading to 5 shots onto the core. I don't see any way that Superstars is able to stop it. They're in a fine position without the boss being up now, because typically that's, the next power play. The only fear is going to be the false stat Sapper pressure that happens towards the bottom half of the map. What I would really like to see out of Superstars is force Dahaka to get that pressure on top as much as possible to try and stop the bleeding. They need the soak. They have to look towards the 20, because this is a tough spot now. Tempo really has managed to come back in this game.
Yeah, an incredible turnaround for Tempo Storm so far, but they are still down in core health. 6 shots from splitting up very quickly, showing again their quick rotations whenever they do get an advantage, being able to get both of the bell towers, trying to do what they can. They'll even blow up Faye, allowing the Sappers to push in more too, giving more shots. It's now 8-8.
That's huge.
And 8-7. Tempo Storm, they were down half of the core health.
And they managed to get the comeback there, and that pick onto Faye was really a colossal moment, because now they're going to be crippled when it comes to the rotations, and they aren't going to have the opportunity to convert the bell tower dance that we typically see here on Towers of Doom. Tempo Storm is going to be able to manipulate the map into their favor, and without having the 5-man there, Superstars really need to be comfortable giving up those shots, and taking this 5v5 later is a far more realistic opportunity here for them. But we'll see if they have what it takes, still being, 3/4 of a level away from getting that 20 talent here, and we know it's so powerful there. It's not going to be Wind Tunnel, though, for Falstad. That's always something you have to consider, because that's almost 100% going to be Sapper's move in 2-4.
Yeah, favoring Epic Mount instead, probably because they know there's a global on the other side, wanting to make sure that they can maintain their split pressure as much as possible, especially if Dahaka wants to go into Apex Predator later. Although Dahaka has been such a focus, and with his focus on being able to get drags, now getting elongated tongue too, he may want to get Hardened Shield so that he can go in and grab a tasty target for Tracer to take out.
Yeah, it might be really beneficial for them, and making sure, the rest of the squad is not going to be grouped up is a huge moment, because those Voids, as you said, they've been 4-man, 3-man, 4-man Voids every single time. You don't have to be able to hit a pulse or the bomb itself on Zeratul if you can just land a big Void. That's really about all it takes, especially getting a pick outside of it. But Superstars, in fact, is going to be able to pick up this 20. They're in a position where these Sappers on bottom could threaten to core. If the shots and the Sappers make it all the way in, this will be game for Tempo. But I think Superstars has the tools to stop this with the Dahaka.
Well, Good Stuff is now here. That could help Tracer get the blow up on a target that she's often caught people with, but not quite been able to take out, like Kotham Luck in the last fight. Still waiting on Stray's. Will we see another Death Mosh? That's the real question. We've had so many here in the HGC.
Those shots actually were converted onto bottom half of the map. Dahaka didn't have the thing to stop it, and the Gust was not used either. So this is a tough position. Superstars is in lethal range here, Tempo Storm is within lethal range if they manage to get these shots.
up in front, has Iron Skin and will use it. The rest of Tempo Storm trying to move in, but still stay grouped out so they don't die to a big 4-man mosh pit, 5-man mosh pit. Exactly what Superstars would need to be able to turn this game around yet again.
Psalm actually is way too low on H. Oh my gosh, Cattle taking a lot of damage. He used Rewind, and that removes a lot of his kill potential, so that's really going to hurt them into this team fight unless a Colossal Void comes out. But never mind, ETC instantly got to get deleted there. One reset for Cattle. Goku's going to pop the adaptation. He got the heal here, but it's not looking good for Superstars as that looks like Goku lies the next victim. TS getting another reset, but no mana to get more kills.
Fly. The Gust and a full wipe is imminent now for Tempo Storm. Superstars just about to lose Iacona. FaZe the only one left, trying to do as much as she can to stop Tempo Storm from winning this game, but it will not be enough. Tempo Storm down half of their core health to Superstars, down even talent tiers, able to make the comeback on Towers of Doom.
That all started with a 2 versus 3 gank under turrets. That was not necessary on mid on the side of Superstars. If that mistake does not happen and it's not as well punished on the side of Tempo Storm, I don't know if they have the tools to be able to come back with that, because that reset experience bought a lot of time, about 25 seconds to be able to manipulate the map, forcing a panicked delay onto the bottom half. It really kind of led to one misplay after the other on the side of Superstars. It makes me very hopeful for Superstars into the series after watching the first half of that game. But again, it's those small things. That's the difference that I was talking about when I view like Superstars versus GFE, just not as good. That kind of mistake, I don't expect GFE to make, whereas Superstars would. But TS, beautiful punishment.
They did, and it's only game number 1, so there's plenty of chances for Superstars to bring it back right after this commercial break. We'll see you for game number 2.
Gadget Sand, the city of opportunity.
Gadget Sand, where the gangs rule the streets.